and the only thing you need for this is a pillow. So grab a pillow from your bed, it could be any kind of pillow, and you're going to come to lying on your back. You're going to bring your pillow right underneath your sacrum and allow yourself to bring a bend in your knees. Your feet can be about as wide as your mat if you'd like to bring your knees together. So give a little extra relief to your low back. With your hands on your own body, breathe into your hand that is resting on your belly. We'll take a deep breath out and then breathe into the hand that is resting on your chest, on your heart space. Breathing out. Notice now as you breathe, if each inhale, you can fill your belly up, your chest up, and exhale, let all that air release. And keep doing this 3-part breath until you start to feel more relaxed. Thought forms will happen, mind stuff will happen. It's all a part of what we're doing. Just keep coming back to the breath. Our yoga is really happening all the time. Everything we do really is in union with everything else. But as we breathe into our hands, we slow down enough to notice. You can keep your legs as they are, or if you'd like to start to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees open out wide. If your hips are really tight, this might not be comfortable just yet, so you decide. Keeping your eyes closed. Just turn your head from side to side, freeing some space in your neck. One more big full breath, inhaling anything peaceful this moment. And exhaling that releasing. Bring your hands down to the outside of your knees and gently bring your legs back together. You can always windshield wiper the knees to one side and the other. You'll begin to straighten the legs. Well, first, let's lift the hips and scoot your pillow down to where it will be behind the knees. And then we can begin to straighten our legs. Your hands can rest on your belly. Your eyes are still closed. You're in this full Shavasana with the support of a pillow underneath your knees. You could stay here really for the rest of the time if you wanted to. And we'll just start to give ourselves a little massage on our neck. So turn your head over to the left. Your left ear is closest to the mat. You'll bring your left hand, you'll shape your hand like a C, and bring your left hand over to the right side of your neck. Begin to massage your neck all around, even behind where your shoulder blade is. Up the neck, close to that occipital bone where our head and neck meet. Feel any places that might be a little sticky and massage there a little more. There's no right or wrong. This is all intuitive. eventually lift your right arm into the air and begin to work this left hand down the arm. So around the shoulder, you can massage your upper arm, even around your elbow. You never know where there might be a little bit of tension. So keep that massaging. Come all the way down. You can use your thumb to massage your right forearm here. And then use your left hand around the right wrist and just give a circle of the hand. Make sure you circulate in both directions. Shake your wrists and use your left hand to travel back up the arm, around your forearm, your elbow joint, up the upper arm, all around, just massaging the shoulder, and again the neck. And release your hand down. Bring both hands to your belly. Lift your hands into the air and give a little shake. Both hands will just shake into the air. And turn your ear over to the right. It will be right ear closest to the mat. Your left side of your neck is exposed to you. You'll use that right hand, again, the grip, that C-like kind of grip. We'll just start to massage your neck. Move slowly, breathing deeply. Bring your hand all the way up the neck, even down around your shoulder blade. Moving as feels good. And then lift that left arm into the air. Eventually, your right hand will massage the top of your left arm. Feel any places that might be sticky, maybe need a little more love, and feel all around your elbow joint. Down the forearm. Eventually holding on to your wrist. And circle your hand in both directions. Make sure you're moving slow enough that you're still breathing deeply. Bring your right hand back down the left arm, around the elbow, around the upper arm, towards your neck and shoulder. Last little massage here. And then release both hands in the air. Give that shake of the wrist. Release your hands down onto your hips. You could probably keep your eyes closed for the remainder of class if it feels okay to your frontal brain. And take an inhale, lift your legs into the air with a bend in your knees. Your hands will start to hug around your knees or even down around your shins. Let the knees go wide and roll from side to side. Again, you're moving slowly. The union of our breath and our movements syncing up with our emotion forms, that how does it feel portion. Roll onto your back if you're moving and begin to bring your knees towards the middle of your body. You can use your hands to then roll your knees away, circling around and back towards the midline. It's kind of like we're making some circles on the ceiling. Notice what the hips are feeling. Pause and circulate the other way. As always, this is your time. This is your space. Feel free to go on your own cycle. Find some stillness with the next time the knees come to center. Hug your knees into the chest. You can even lift your head and lift your neck if that feels okay. Making this tiny little ball. And exhale, release your head down. Release your feet down. You'll have a bend in your knees. And just see if you can reach. You might use your feet to help you scoot your pillow up. And bring your pillow to the right side of your mat. It will be somewhere in line with your right hip point. Have this bend in your knees. You can bring the hands right down onto your hips. Tuck your chin. Let the back of your neck be really long. You can feel each place that is planted on your mat. Feeling the feet rooting down, the glutes, the tailbone, the small of your back where it is probably not touching. Upper back and shoulders on the mat. Back of the head and arms even. Every place that's touching something, helping to ground. Start to reach your right leg down onto the mat long, just slowly. Lift your left knee into the air and bring the hands around your shin. Hug your knee closer in towards your chest. And then release your hands and lift your leg right into the air. You can thread the hands behind your thigh. Rebend your knee, you're hugging in. Straighten your leg, you'll press through the foot. Keep moving in this way, pulling the leg closer and pressing through a straight leg. One more time, bend your knee, pull your knee in towards your chest. As you breathe out, you press your straight leg, your foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, hug your knee in and bring the hands around your shin. Eventually, you'll tug that left knee around the rib cage so you're pulling more into the armpit. You'll use your right hand to guide your knee across your body. Open your left arm to the left, and eventually your knee will rest on this pillow as you're twisting. If this isn't working or if your knee isn't touching, you could fold your pillow in half if it's kind of squishy like mine, or you could use two pillows. Find a place that you can feel some ease, some length in your breath. Your left shoulder is opening towards your floor. Your right hand is resting on your top knee. Close your eyes, the gaze towards your own self. Getting feedback from the hip, the spine. Take 3 more cycles of breath. You can turn your head from side to side. As you inhale, slowly start to roll onto your back. Hug both knees into your chest. Wiggle around to reset your spine. And just look to your right side. Pick up your pillow and move it over towards that left hip. Bring your hands around both knees. You can do that circular motion. You could lift both legs into the air and just give a little shake. Really anything to change the blood flow. Bring some breath down into the lower extremities. And hug the knees into your chest. Let your left leg come down long onto the mat. You're hugging your right knee in. Release the hands to bring them around behind your thigh. Start to straighten your right leg, pressing it into the air. Take an exhale and bend your knee, pulling your leg closer towards you. Inhale, lift your leg and straighten, pressing through the foot. Breathing out as you're pulling the leg in, bending your knee. Releasing, straighter leg, press through the foot. It doesn't have to be all the way straight. One more time, we'll move through this cycle. Press through a straighter leg. Exhale, rebend your knee and bring your hands around your shin. Hug your knee outside the rib cage, more towards your armpit. As you're pulling on the knee, noticing the hip joint, soften in your foot, soften in the ankle. Exhale, start to open your right arm out to the right. Take your left hand and guide your knee across your body. Eventually, you'll be twisting and move your pillow so that your knee can rest. If you need a little more support, you can fold your pillow in half, or you can grab an additional pillow so that you can support your leg. If there is a goal in this shape, it's to find a place where we can breathe easier, breathing longer. The connection to the inhale and the exhale, reminding us to stay in the moment, here and now. Two more rounds of breath twisting. Exhale, hug your knees into the chest as you roll onto your back. Lift your head if that feels okay for your neck. Lower your feet onto the mat. We'll take 3 rounds of dynamic bridge pose before settling into that restorative version. If you don't want to do anything dynamically, you know you definitely don't have to. So bring your hands down where you can kiss the heels with the middle finger. Take an inhale as you lift your hips up and bring your arms up and overhead. Exhale as you lower your hips, lower your arms down. Inhale, lift your hips, your arms go up and over. Exhale, lower your hips, lower your hands. One more time, lift your hips high, press into the feet, the arms go up and over. Exhale, lower everything down. Find your pillow, and if you're still with me, your pillow is maybe a little flatter. You'll fold it in half, lift your hips, and snuggle that pillow right underneath your sacrum for your restorative bridge. So any variation of this is all good. 1 pillow, 2 pillows, in half or not. Swallow a couple of times, releasing the back of the throat, releasing your jaw. Your hands can be placed on your own body. Your hands on your belly, 1 hand on the belly, 1 hand on the heart. These hand placements in yoga, you often hear us say mudra, these shapes that our hands make. These hand placements on ourself helps to ground, helps to send the focus internally. If you'd like to check out something else that might serve you differently, then you can start to open the arms on the mat, kind of like that cactus shape, that big Arizona saguaro cactus. The shoulders are resting on the mat. Forearms and backs of the hands are resting on the mat. This mudra, this open shape, is that subtle communication that we are ready to receive something. Our chests, our hearts are open. You can keep your knees bent, or if you would like to make this a little deeper of a back bend, start to stretch one leg long. Notice if that feels good, or if it causes any crunching in the low back, then just back out of it. If it feels great, then lower both legs long onto your mat. Your chest is open. Hip points are lifted. Your toes can even open out to the sides, that you're not holding anything in the legs. Breathing in and out of your nose for 3 full rounds. Taking longer in any of the shapes that you love, staying put for anything that feels great. Or if you are ready to move on, start to bend one knee, placing your foot on the mat. Bend the other, placing both feet on the mat. You can bring your hands down to that pillow. Lift your hips up and move it off to the side. Just move it out of the way for a moment. You'll roll onto your side, whichever side you love, into a fetal shape, and just use that bottom arm to rest on. Close your eyes. Gently begin to press into that top hand. Lift yourself up. We'll come into a tabletop shape. So take your time to roll onto your hands and knees. Use your navel pulling in just enough to be supportive. We're not really doing a lot of work here. And begin to roll your left hip over to your left heel, down and around, and back over, making some rolling, some semicircles with the hips. You can begin to make full circles, circulating the hips around. Any other movement that you love in your tabletop, if you like that arching of the spine and that rounding like in that cat shape. So take 3 more breaths. The body is the union, is the teacher. The head is really the guide here. Let your head and neck start to roll around. And take an exhale to find your neutral spine. Come back to sitting on the shins. You can just come to sitting up. Let your knees be wide and reach for your pillow. Or we'll start to rest in a child's pose with this pillow going long ways on the mat. So ideally, you can bring your right cheek down on the pillow. If this is not comfortable, then you can, again, fold your pillow and bring the floor a little closer to you. Let's bring our right cheek down first, closing our eyes in this child's pose. This shape, this balasana, child's pose, is intentional to be most restful. Its intention is to feel that safety, that child-like space. Take one more breath here, and then lift your head and turn the opposite ear onto the pillow. You're breathing deeply into your back body. Two more breaths in this child's pose. Inhale, lift your chest and head. Exhale, just move the pillow off to the side out of your way. Come down into a child's pose with your forehead on the mat. Roll your forehead from side to side. If your forehead isn't touching, you can always use those two fists. Notice any space that is asking for your attention. It's 3 more breaths. Moving your head and neck, or finding whatever stillness that you love. Inhale, start to lift your head. As we exhale, we'll make our way down onto the belly. So you can bring your forearms down and start to stretch through the feet. You'll lower your hips down and uncurl your toes. From here, you can soften your head onto the mat. Just press your hands together right above your crown, right above the top of your head. On an inhale, you'll lift your head just enough to start to move around. You'll bring your left arm right out to the side. You can turn your left palm towards the ceiling if you choose, and turn your left ear onto the mat. So if you've done this with me before, then you'll know where you're going, but if it's new, then you might have to look the first cycle, but you'll bring your left ear down. Your right hand is right in front of your face with your elbow bent. Start to bend your right knee, your foot is in the air, and roll onto your back. Eventually, your right foot is on the mat. This is a big stretch in the left side of the body. I'm going to turn on the side that I am facing you, so not to be confused, but your hand can stay planted in front of the face. Your foot pressing on the mat actually gives some relief. So if it's kind of dangling in the air, see if you can press your foot down. Creating space to breathe deeper. If you would like to add any motion of your right shoulder, you can always bring the hand down towards your sacrum. The back of the hand would rest on the sacrum here. I'm going to roll to show you what it looks like on that side. So the hand is resting on the low back. Take an exhale to bring your right hand down in front of your face. Roll onto your belly slowly and bring both hands right above your head, pressing together. Softening in your breath. It will be right arm that comes right out of the shoulder, opening. Turn your palm up towards the ceiling as you turn your right cheek onto the mat. Your left hand will come right in front of the face. You're bending the elbow. Bend your left knee. Your foot is in the air. As you breathe out, roll onto your back. Let that foot plant down. Let your eyes close. You would like your head to rest on the mat. This isn't always easy. Allow the breath to guide you. If you're adding that wrapping towards the sacrum, your left hand will reach around to the low back. It's the back of the hand that's pressing on the sacrum, opening both shoulders. If it is too intense, always back out. There's no hierarchy of the shapes that we're making. They're all here just to help us breathe deeper. Take an exhale, release your hand down in front of your face. Roll onto your belly slowly. Bring your hands in front of your head and shimmy the hips from side to side. You can bend your knees, lifting the feet in the air, shifting the feet from side to side. Release your feet onto your mat. Release your hands, bringing them back and wide. You'll bump up onto the fingertips. You have your elbows lifted into the air. Take an inhale and lift your chest. This doesn't have to be a huge lift. Press your toes into your mat. Let your right shoulder soften in towards the middle of your mat. Take an inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, let your left shoulder start to dip in. Inhale, lift. You can close your eyes if they're open. Exhale, it's right shoulder dipping in. We're getting some fluid motion going after all of that work in the shoulders. So let this feel releasing. Let this feel nice. If you're like, this isn't nice, then go a little lower and sway from side to side. Take one more big breath. Inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, lower down. Bring your hands under your shoulders. press onto your hands and knees. You can choose to grab that pillow or not, finding your child's pose. So if you're going for the pillow variation, then you might bring one ear to the mat or to the pillow first. If you want to check out how it feels to bring your arms alongside your body, you can let your shoulders roll forward a little bit. If you're not comfy here, you can always move around so that you can get comfy. This is a space that you want to feel good in your breath. So if you've turned one cheek to the mat, then lift your head and turn your head the other way. On your next inhale, bring your hands forward if they're not, and start to press yourself back into a seat, sitting on the shins here. You can move your pillow off to the side. And let's come down, sitting in the middle of the mat. You'll use this pillow here in a minute, so be sure that you can reach it. We'll start with our left leg in kind of like a cross-legged shape. So it's just in towards our seat. And we'll start by lifting our, I think I told you the wrong side. We have our left leg in, right leg we're lifting. I can't even remember right and left. So right leg we're holding, and eventually you'll take your left elbow and bring your foot into the elbow crook. You'll bring your right elbow and bring your knee into the elbow crook. You can clasp your hands, and it's like you're holding this kind of leg baby. If this does not feel good, then move your elbow in a way that you can hold your leg so that you can rock your foot back and forth. So friends that are very open in the hips, it's going to be the elbow crook to elbow crook. Friends that are like, yeah, no, that's not happening. Then just hold your foot somewhere so that you can rock. Close your eyes. In our minds, the hip is going back, back, and back. It may not look any different, but this kind of stirring up is giving that electrical impulse to the hip, to the joint. Hey, we're asking you to open over time. So when you're feeling pretty good, you might be feeling a little looser here now. You're going to start to come into what we call stacking the fire logs, and your legs are the fire logs. So you'll move your left foot forward a little bit. It's going to be more parallel to the mat. I'm still holding my right leg baby lovingly, and then reach for your pillow here. You will bring your ankle of the right on top of your knee. I know already most of us, the hip is like, oh, hello. And then fold your pillow in some variation that you can rest the knee. So this isn't just a cross-legged shape. You should probably feel a lot happening in that top right hip. And if you look, and again, you can always use more pillows. If you're like, no, then stack the pillow in a higher way so you give some support to the knee. If this still isn't going great, then you can use the hand to hold the knee. But if you look down, your legs are starting to stack like our fire logs. This is Agni Stambhasana. If you would like to distract yourself a little bit, you can take your hand and start to thread your fingers in between your toes on the left foot. So you're threading the fingers in between each toe. Again, these are all just layers, no hierarchy. If you don't love it, you don't have to touch your feet. And if you're feeling open, you're not sure what the fuss is about, then you can start to lean forward. This is going to intensify this shape kind of a lot. So the more you lean, the more the right hip is feeling it. Take a breath in. Soften your shoulders on the breath out. And you can open your eyes if they're closed just to unwind. So we'll unwind the hand from the toes first. You can move your pillow, just move it out of the way, and then use the weight in your hands to unwind the feet. Roll the knees from side to side. I know the right hip is like, thank you. And when you feel some of that fluid motion coming back into place, and we'll change sides. Notice this might be easier, it might not be easier. So this first right heel is in closer towards our seat like we would do in a cross-legged shape. You'll start to reach for your left foot. You'll use the right hand towards the foot. You can use the elbow around the knee and just start to rock the hip joint. So for some of us, this is the more open side. For some of us, this is I lovingly call the wonky side. And you can go elbow crook to elbow crook if you have that space. You can gaze down lovingly to the leg baby or whatever if you're done with me already. And in your mind, it's back, back, and back with the hip. We're asking slowly the hip joint to open. Eventually, you'll find some stillness. Take your time to do that rocking, that stirring up of the hip joint. And then start to find a little stillness. You can use your hand towards the foot and scoot your right foot away from you a little bit. This is going to increase the sensation. See if you can bring your ankle down on top of the knee and then reach for that pillow. You could roll it up or ball it up if you already know that on the other side you needed a little more pillow love. See if you can roll it in a way so that you can relax the knee. And again, notice if this is not feeling great, you are empowered to really do whatever you want to do. You can move your knee, you can move the pillow. It will be your right hand that is threading in between your toes if you're going for that. It is very interesting that the sides of our body, they may look very similar, but very rarely do they behave the same. It may be easy to thread the fingers in between these toes, or your foot may really not like that. Is it okay to get that feedback and not really have to talk to yourself about it? Just breathe in. If this is going really well and you want to lean forward, now is the time to do that. This is going to intensify kind of a lot. And when that feels completed, unwind the fingers from the toes first. Bring the weight, bring your hands behind you and bring the weight into the hands. You can just scoot the pillow and very slowly unwind the legs. That windshield wiper action from side to side can feel nice. If you would like to take your legs long and give some of the toe tapping, one of my favorite teachers tells me this fluffs your dendrites. This is actually creating new electrical pathways to our brain when we try to tap the big toes. And when we're feeling pretty good here, we'll take one spinal twist in a seat. And this can be your choice, however you want to do with your legs. So we'll bring our left leg long first and bring your right foot to the outside of this left knee. As you breathe in, you can lift your chest and use your hands towards this right shin just to squeeze everything into the midline. If you have a lot of space, then here's where you could add a layer by bending that left knee and bringing the foot around beside you, beside the glute. If that doesn't feel great, then just don't worry about that. You'll use your right hand as an extension of your spine. So just sweep it around behind you. Your hand will press into the mat and it lifts your chest even more. Take an inhale and lift your left arm. You'll lift it into the air. And exhale, start to twist your torso, catching that elbow to the knee and twist over your right shoulder. If this is too intense, you could change that arm just to hug around the knee. This spinal twist is massaging our internal organs as we compress. This is going to feel a little bit intense for the breathing. Inhale to gaze forward towards the front. Exhale, let's unwind, and you'll just take a little mini push-up to the other side. This is just opening the spine. We want to twist one way and the other, so just a little mini push-up. And unwind the legs to switch out. So your right leg will go long, your left leg will go on top. Press the foot onto the mat or outside of the knee. Take an inhale and lift your chest. Pull your shin in. This helps to lift our heart. And as we exhale, it's the left hand that is the extension of the spine. It can press into the mat. Take an inhale to lift that right arm into the air. And as you exhale, you want to catch your elbow to the outside of the knee, twisting as you gaze back. Or again, just hugging the knee, whatever feels like you can breathe in this shape. As you exhale, you're twisting deeper. It doesn't have to look any deeper. Just let it feel deep. Exhale is the twist. Inhale to look forward. Exhale to unwind. Resetting the spine with that little counterbalance, that mini push-up. And take an exhale, unwind the legs. That was the most dynamic part of our practice. Turn your legs towards the long side of the mat. Let's bring our pillow up behind our head. We'll use it how we like to when we're sleeping. And then just come to lying down on your back. You have your pillow behind your head. You probably have a bend in your knees, and bring your hands onto the belly. You could connect your two index fingers and your thumbs together, forming this downward facing triangle. In yoga, yes, we say mudra, but it's just an additional layer of the shapes that we're making to help us feel the connection that is always happening. It's always there. You're never not connected, even if it doesn't feel like it. Start to cross your left ankle over your right knee. You'll flex your foot to give some support to your knee joint. And send your knee away from your body. You could press lightly, but you can't send it away with your mind. Take an inhale and lift your right leg into the air. Thread your hands maybe behind the thigh or on top of that shin if you love. And give a last little stretch to the outer side of your left hip. Notice the depth is where I can still breathe. So if you feel that you're pulling really tightly, you might back out just a little. Take a big inhale, and then you can always go back in deeper over time. 3 breaths with your eyes closed. Sending those electrical pulses down around the hip. Sending the breath wave down around the hip. Exhale, release your hands, release your foot down onto the mat. Unwind, and let's lift the legs into the air. Just give that little shake, little jiggle. Let the feet feel fluffy, nothing you have to control. And bring the feet onto the mat, bend in your knees. Cross your right ankle over the left knee now. Send your thigh away from you as you flex your foot. You're lifting your leg into the air to any degree. So you can thread the hands behind the thigh or on the shin. While our right foot is flexed, this is what is supporting our knee joint. Our knee joint is our measure, really, of how is this going. You would like to soften in the left foot. The left foot doesn't really have to do anything here. Relax your shoulders. Release your jaw. Exhale, slowly unwind. Give a little shake, both legs in the air. Bring the hands into the air. Everything's just rolling, that little jigalasana that we love. And exhale, release your feet down onto the mat. Bend in the knees. You can keep your pillow where it is if it's feeling supportive to your neck, so know that you don't have to move. Or if you would like to bring the pillow under the hips, we're going to lift the legs into the air. So either way, your pillow can stay where it is and you can lift your legs into the air as is, or you can lift your head. I like to put my pillow in half to give just a little more lift to the sacrum. Lower your hips down onto the pillow. Let your arms open up. Let the palms be lifted here or facing towards the ceiling. And then lift your legs right into the air. You can point and flex the toes a couple of times. Eventually, there is a place where it doesn't really feel like work. So you might do a little shifting, the legs forward and back if you need. Bend the knees here. There's not work happening in the legs. I love to call this poor man's legs up a wall. You don't even need a wall. This is one of my favorite inversions because almost anyone can do this. Doesn't matter what happens with your neck or with your head or what stability you have. Lifting the legs into the air just like this lets all the blood flow come down around the filter organs. As we lie here for another moment more, I'll tell you, often we don't do other types of inversions on a full moon. The full moon was last night. It travels into the day. If you don't really care about the woo-woo of the full moon, then it doesn't really matter. You can invert however you love. But it can make you a little bit wobbly. It can change how you know where you are in space. So headstands, handstands, they can be a little more challenging when the moon is full. That gravitational pull being a little stronger. And when you're done with this, just release, hugging your knees into your chest. You can leave your pillow where it is for this happy baby if you want to reach around the ankles and let the knees widen. Just roll from side to side. Notice if you are on your pillow, you're probably going to be a little rollier. And you want this to feel releasing to the low back. So if it doesn't feel great, you can always move that pillow out of the way. If you still have pillow behind the head, that also works. 3 breaths or so. Happiest of baby is just rolling around, just exploring. If there's any other shapes that you love and need, now is the time to enjoy those shapes. You are free. You can go on whatever cycle of movement that you love. If you're with me, I'm going to go for one more gentle twist. If you're taking that twist shape like me, hug both knees in this cycle. If you have your pillow over to the right side, then you'll drop your knees over to the right. Eventually, this left or this right arm opening. I might have told you the wrong side. I know I'm always with right and left, but we're twisting to one side with both knees bent. Turn your head opposite your knees. Inhale, hug back into the chest. Move your pillow so that it can support you. And when you're ready, it's over to the other side. Opening. I won't tell you the direction, whatever one you didn't do. Close your eyes. Soften your face. Take an inhale to hug your knees into your chest. Last time here. And for our final resting shape, you can take that pillow really wherever you love, either behind the head, underneath the sacrum, or behind the knees. So find a few breaths to get the wiggles out. Move your pillow around so that it can support you. And when you get there, just let the toes open out to the sides. Let the arms open out pretty wide. And let your palms face up. The chin is just tucked slightly. It's taking all the wrinkles out of the back of the neck. Gaze is inward towards self. I'll let you know when we're coming out of this shape. You're welcome to drift away into the sound of your own breath. In this moment, we release the need to be the doer, and we become the watcher. The watcher to the thought forms. What is it like to witness without judging? The watcher of the breath cycle. The watcher of the emotion forms. How does it feel to lie here? Also without judgment. Doesn't have to be a particular feeling. Three cycles of breath. You could stay here indefinitely if you love, if you have time. Or start to roll your head from side to side. Keep your eyes closed if you can. Move your fingers and toes, making some wiggles, some circles. If you're ready for that big good morning stretch, you can stretch the arms up and overhead. Stretch your feet really long. Roll on to the favorite side. And do whatever with your pillow. If you want to bring it in between your knees, that can feel nice for just a moment. Your effort is done. You are allowed to lie here and relax. There's nothing to do. Take an inhale as you very slowly start to press yourself up and slide your stuff out of the way. See if you can keep your eyes closed for one final moment together. Bring your hands to the center of the chest. I love the thumbs coming together and then that inner weaving. It's that giving of the heart wings. So if that's got confusing at all, it's just one hand, other hand where the thumbs can press. Hands are here resting at the heart. If you'd like to join in a sound of Om to complete, I love to Om. We're all at our houses, but if you feel that you just want to give a breath, that also works. So we'll do one breath in and out first. And when we Om, we'll start to lift the hands. Eventually, they'll open into this smiling shape. So you kind of know where you're going. So one breath in and out, big inhale. Exhale here. Receive your breath for Om. Hands can press. I am so, so grateful for this time with you. Thank you, and namaste.